So I've been on this voiceover journey for well over 15 to 20 years. And but at first I didn't know I was on a voiceover journey because I was always that guy who was doing the goofy voices like live from the just because I work in the operating room. That
Ed
was my
Sullivan's
job.
here.
Yeah, I mean that's been my job for the past 29 years, but I did it in the military and then I got out and then I started doing this stuff. But my ex-wife and I, we went to church one day, and like I said, I thought I was going to catch on fire walking through the doors because it had been such a long time since I've been there. I thought God was
Yeah.
going to strike me down as soon as I sat down.
Who the hell is
Uh,
that?
right. So they had this church bulletin, and what it was is this company called Time Capsule Nutrition, which is no longer open. So apparently, my commercial that I did for him didn't do that well. Um,
Happens.
whoa, you back?
Okay. You're back.
Okay,
Hey,
yeah,
welcome
okay.
back.
So anyway, they need an impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger and what's his name, Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. In the Rocky voice, it was really when you're getting a little punchy, you need a pick me up. And it was something as simple as that. I had to call the guy, interview on the phone. I did the audition for him, and then the Arnold Schwarzenegger one was, I can't even say his name now because I think I'm trying to talk too fast. But it was like, when I want to take Maria somewhere very special, I take her to Time Capsule Nutrition. Come on, you have to go. Come on, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I auditioned for it, got the parts, and then I went into the studio. It was Bot Radio Station in Kansas City with Ken Monroe was the studio manager there. And Ken, if you're listening, if you come across this, how you doing? It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
And no, but he's a great guy. And I went in there, did the voices, and he's like, I don't know if I have ever. The guy sounded like Frank Gifford,
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? I'm like, I thought he was messing with me, and I
Right.
started doing it back, and he's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, and the owner of the store was like, I don't think you should be doing that, but
Right. Oh, he's not making fun of me. That's how he always is. Whoops.
right. So I went in there, did my 2 30-second spots, made $400, and I was like, and that was back in the early 2000s, maybe 2001, 2002, and I was just like, man, there must be something to this, because you can take those goofy voices that you did, because like when I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends because I lived on a farm. My only friends were 600 head of cattle that we got in every morning to milk, and this is back in Maryland because that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And so I would give the different cows different voices and stuff like this. And one cow in particular I had, because I had helped pull him when he was born because he was in a lot of distress, and we brought him into the house, and his name was Hamburger. So
That's
kind
ominous.
kind of sadistic, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, Hamburger used to sleep with me at night, and then we'd wake up in the morning, and you got to realize this is back in, oh my god, I'm going to really date myself here, 1980, 1981, something like that.
Okay.
And Hamburger was my little cow. Hamburger had a little voice like this, he would just walk around because he'd follow you around like a dog. What are you doing? Where are you going? Can you feed me? And
Yeah.
so, and my mom and my dad were just like, what is the matter with this child? I was like, well, I had to make up my friends because I didn't have any, and I
Yeah.
would make up my own voices and have my own conversations. People thought I was crazy half the time, and it was much like that. And then when I got older and then into the military, and I had met my ex-wife and all this other stuff, I was trying to pursue this voiceover career, but she just pretty much shot it down. He was like, does that feed the family? And at that point it didn't, because I was in Kansas City at this point.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Kansas City the market is probably about like maybe that big,
Right.
and
Right.
there's three guys. It's like the mafia. Like, you're trying to do voices over here, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we're not going to do that. All right. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So it was the voiceover mafia.
Yeah,
And
but I
so,
mean, it's not even jumping in here, but I guess that's probably why
no, go
she's her
ahead.
ex-wife. But having someone in your team saying "Don't do it," that's kind of weird. Like it's kind of like, but it's a dream of mine. Hey, let me try and
Yeah.
fail.
But there's always going to be that one person who's scared that you're going to be successful at it and then leave them. But little did she know she was absolutely correct, because
Mhm.
if I did hit, I was out, boy. Because she was something else.
Right.
But we're not here to talk about her. We're here to talk about me.
Absolutely. So Dave, you're so glorious.
Right. Now that's the thing about actors that I've learned, because my soon-to-be wife, is in the business as well, and I get to meet a lot of her clients, and there's a whole bunch of people that I get to meet all the time, and then they're not little names, but these guys, you see them on TV, and they're this one character, but when you meet them in person, they're totally different. I mean, like, these guys are like family members to us, but then when I see them do these characters out there, I'm like, damn, they're good. Can I, like, mild cursing, is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So I'm like, damn, these guys are cool. And then I'll sit there and talk to them about it, and they're just like, yeah, it's my job. I'm like, screw you, it's your job to get paid that much to just like be somebody else. And I was like, and then it really hit, because I moved out to LA 3 years ago. And that's, I had no intention of doing voiceover or anything, because I was just trying to get my feet on the ground, and because what the life is out here, it's just hard.
Yep.
And if you're not somebody, you hang around with somebody. If that somebody knows somebody else, it's like being famous adjacent, or like, rich adjacent, because everybody has a friend in the hills, and who doesn't like going to their house, and it's how you get there to that level, and you're just kind of like, I want to do that, I think. So I started pursuing voiceover, and I answered James's call to the audio dramas, and just got my feet wet. And then was it Marcos? I believe.
Papadakos.
And then Snabadabadalus. Anyway, so he had actually contacted me through James, and we did an interview, and I was just like, and then of course it was in print. It wasn't in like we're doing here. And I was thinking, that felt kind of good to be sought after. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just going to give this thing, that one last try. And so I started doing it, got my commercial demo made after many classes, because, anybody can read copy, but the trick is reading the copy and not making it sound like you're reading the copy. Like we're having a conversation right now. That's what it's supposed to sound like. But my main problem is I had the announcer voice, coming next on, like that guy, the promo guy, like the old Don LaFontaine, in a world, because that's my age. That's what I grew up with. And that's what I thought advertising was. But the dynamic has shifted. I'm sure everybody has seen that. And that was my biggest problem. I could not get just a regular guy read, because, I have my conversational skills while I'm reading was like, I just can't read this from here and tell you that I'm going to say hello. It wasn't it was so stammered. I was like, okay. And then one of my coaches told me, they're like, okay, so you're having a conversation with somebody. What's the one thing that you want them to take away from what you're trying to talk about? And, I did a few reads, did my demo finally, got picked up by an agency. And through that agency, I got, a video game, some like fantasy stuff, some cartoon characters, some, actually some commercial work from it. Yeah. And it was just, and like, it's so funny, because I was getting shot down, I was on voices.com, not to say anything bad about them, but I had done well over 200 auditions before I even got one little hit, and I was getting frustrated, and I started answering Craigslist ads, and I was just kind of like, man, come on. What's it take? But then I realized it takes learning your craft, to do what you need to do. And, everything always really came easy to me, like, sports or academics or anything like that. But this acting thing, since I never took any acting classes when I was growing up and starting on this journey, it was just kind of like, man, what's going on here? It can't be that hard. I see all these actors, like, and some of them are terrible, and some are working every day of their lives, and getting these movies and TV shows, and like the commercials, like, the Morgan Freeman, who's been working for, forever. And the guy's doing commercial work now for voiceover. He's like taking work away from the voiceover guys, but the only ones they're not taking work away. Well, that's not true, because the actors are now entering animation, like with all the big name shows, and it's kind of like, okay. This just got that much harder.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of my voice actor friends are saying that, like, is it there's a skill in having many voices and being great a voice actor, but it seems now to lower the risk of animated properties, just get a celebrity, have them be themselves. Like, the celebrities aren't even voice acting in that sense. They're kind of just saying, I'm reading it as you were saying. You were reading copy before you took your training.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of surreal. But we talk about craft and building craft. I mean, what does that look like? Yeah, you can go to a class here and there, but what about other things? Do you like work out a certain way? Do you eat certain things? How do you make sure the instrument's in top form?
Well, the one thing that I drink a lot of is Perrier,
Clean.
and
Not a
I love
sponsor.
it. Right?
Did not pay
Now,
us.
because it cleans out the inside of your mouth because the bubbles are effervescent,
True.
and and it just like it's a palate cleanser. It keeps you from getting those weird clicks and sounds, and it's like it takes away a lot of everything. Allows you to articulate your words better, because you concentrate on it. But you take a sip, do a line, hit pause on your recording, take another sip, do another line, and then you edit it all together, like you do, like the little studio magic,
Yeah.
like they always say. But it's just I don't eat a lot of fatty foods, even though I'd like to. I do eat a lot of fruit, but it's just basically taking care of your instrument. You don't want to eat something, you don't want to have hot sauce every day. You
Right.
don't want to smoke. You don't want to, drink too much alcohol, anything that can, deteriorate your vocal cords or kind of mess them up for you. But excuse me, but that's the bad thing about that. The bubbles makes you burp.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, it's just I don't know. It's just how you would take care of yourself normally. I take vitamins every day, especially with the COVID and Delta variant, and I heard there was a Lambda variant
Okay.
now. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, but stay away from people as much as I can. I do have to go to work every day. I have my survival job, as they call it,
Mhm.
and then because I have to have benefits and stuff, and voice acting at this point, since I'm not SAG, I'm still non-union. And hopefully that changes soon. But I go to work every day, and I do wear a mask, in my profession as well as out in public. So yeah, it's just a really common sense stuff. If something, like, because I'm not sure if you've ever smoked or not, but because I used to.
Well, I was
You go,
14.
yeah, right. So you go out to the bar, you have a few drinks, and then you end up smoking a pack of cigarettes, and then the next morning you sound like this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's no good. If you want to have a career in voiceover or any type of acting or whatever, because of course, unless you're like what's his name, oh, the guy that was married to Madonna, what's his name?
Guy Ritchie.
No, the
Joe
before her.
DiMaggio.
Joe
Marilyn Monroe.
DiMaggio.
That's Marilyn Monroe. Whoops.
Oh my goodness, I Sean Penn.
Oh
There it
yeah,
is.
yeah, that's sexy beast. Correct.
That guy is I think he's kin to Keith Richards, actually,
Okay.
because he's never going to die, but he'd smoke, he'd drink and all this other stuff, and he'd still show up to set licking those hairs that's all up here.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just a matter of taking care of yourself. It's common sense. You work out and you do all that stuff, because I was up there for a while. I was up to 240 pounds, and I'm down now, back
Okay.
down to 200, thank God. But
Pilates, yoga, swimming.
running and not eating like a pig.
I mean, those are bona fide reasons. I mean,
Yeah,
tried and true.
I did a lot of chicken and avocados, that's for sure. And
Yeah,
then
that's the fourth tablet, third tablet of the Bible, or the third commandment.
right,
Just eat the Wolverine diet, just boiled chicken and some kind of vegetable. That's how you do it.
and
Well,
it worked, but
it does work, and I have to get back on that. I went to Vegas last weekend, and I totally did the opposite of that. I totally ate everything
hey,
but that, so I totally get it.
yeah,
So I just realized you had a bit of a vacation too, recently, and I was going
yeah.
to ask you as a human being, where'd you go? But are you a vacation often guy to recharge? Or are you kind of like a vacation hard when you get out there every once in a while kind of guy?
Well, I take a vacation to recharge, and the reason you have to do that is you have to get out of your element, because there's always something to do, and you have to pick a vacation spot to where and I did the SeaWorld thing. I did the San Diego Zoo. We went to Pacific Terrace. If you're ever in San Diego, I highly suggest that place. It's like this little boutique hotel right on the beach. The rooms are absolutely amazing. We got a ground floor room. The pool was right off to our right, and then the bar was behind the pool, so that was kind of nice. We had yes, absolutely. We had my my fiance and I definitely had a few drinks. Not too many to where you get stupid, but just enough to where you can sit back, relax, and just like,
Yeah.
But and then we took the kids with us, so there wasn't that much relaxing. But when we had the opportunity to, we sure did.
I'm hungry.
And then after we went there, we stayed there for like 2 days, and then we went to this place in Ramona, California. It was called the Two Wishes Homestead, and if you haven't heard of it before, I highly suggest you look it up.
Oh, I haven't. I lost you again. I lost you again, Dave. Come on back, Dave. Check, check. Dave. Dave.
Hey, and we're
He's
back.
back. He's back.
No, but like I said, we stayed in this little Airbnb, and they had goats, chickens, ducks, bunnies, pigs, and the kids got to get out. It was like a petting zoo that was right next to us. It was pretty great, and the owners lived on the other side of the property, and they were so gracious and so very, very nice. It was Don and Jamie. But like I said, if you ever get a chance to look it up, it's on Airbnb. It's called Two Wishes Homestead. It was just absolutely amazing. I have some drone shots. I have some inside shots that I took, and I think I posted them all on my Facebook page. But
Yeah.
and it was so important. And the reason we ended up going to San Diego and then Ramona was because we were supposed to go to Hawaii and stay at the Grand Wailea in Maui.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, kids will kill a vacation in a heartbeat. But it wasn't really them that did it per se, but it was their school, because they had sent out an email like a week prior to us leaving to go to Maui, saying any child that travels outside the state of California would have to quarantine for the first 14 days of school.
Oh,
And
hell no, I ain't doing that.
right. And then so we changed our plans, and I cried a little bit. But so we rescheduled it for next July. But it would have been amazing. I had surf lessons all lined up. We had the luau that we're going to go to, and this Grand Wailea has like 7 different swimming pools, a lazy river, a swim up bar, and then the beach is right out there, and there's like little cabanas out there. But it was just, I was so hyped for it. It was pretty much a soul crusher when I knew that we weren't going. I was like,
try to make it work. Like we'll Craigslist babysitters. Wait, that's a bad idea. Fine, we'll just change. We'll just change where we're gonna go.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had given it about a split second thought about having the kids just go to their dads for the week, right? And then Jen and I would go. But I was like, well, it'd be kind of Jen actually brought it up. I didn't, because she's much more thoughtful than myself. She's like, well, it's Riley's birthday. I was like,
oh, right.
Fair enough. Anyway,
you're the one I love, right?
Yeah. And I love the kids dearly, and I couldn't deep down do that to them, because they're young, they're 13 and 10.
Okay.
And where if it were my boys, because they're 25 and 23, right, I'd have been like, peace, dude, I'm out.
Right. You'll understand.
Right, exactly. Like when you get older and able to afford a vacation like that, you go right ahead.
Right.
But
July is happening. He found a mic and dropped it. So it's 2021. I mean, it feels like and in some ways it's a year ahead, a year forward, but a lot of the tendrils of 2020 was still there. What has been your experience as we try to get out of a pandemic, or are you still in survival mode? Where you are?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, because I haven't really fully processed, because I've been in the healthcare field for 29 years, and I know when they say the word pandemic, that's not a light thing. That
Right.
means global, virus infections, and people dying, and over 4 million people have passed away from this disease, or from this virus. And we've had some close family friends that have actually passed away, and I've had some family, or still have some family. I have some family members that are, I'm not going to call them anti-vaxxers, but they're very strongly suggesting that they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And and which is fine. I respect their decisions, but man, it's a scary thing. But as far as me working, I've got my space to work in right here. And a lot of the commercial business has picked up simply because of that, because nobody's going into studios, and not everybody has a setup like this. It's I invested some money, and for some reason my good mic isn't working right now with this particular platform, but that's okay. I'm actually using my webcam. That's why it sounds kind of muffled, or kind of tinny right now. I'm sure
I loved it.
Oh yeah, great. Okay, so I invested in some money. I got the Neumann TLM 102, and then I've got the Apollo Twin preamp, and then each one of them is going to run you some bucks. So I mean, like if you don't have it, don't spend it. But I've been saving up for a while. I got lucky enough to get some gigs to where I could afford it.
Right.
And it's paying off dividends, because I've already paid them off, I don't know, a lot over. But that's just the thing, having the right equipment, having the right space, and trying to soundproof as much as you can, because you're never really going to fully soundproof unless you build like a whisper room, which are you're looking at what, $8,000-$9,000 for
Yeah, I'm
one of
gonna
those.
say, yeah, thousands easy.
Yeah, because I've looked at them. I was just like, man. And then plus, if you have it up, because we don't own the place that we're in right now, but when I do have a space that we can call our own, I'm sure as hell going to build one, because there is a difference. There's less editing that you have to do. Your noise floor is way lower. Because most of the time right now we're running what, 60 to 70 or minus 60 to 70 for a noise floor. And you want to be that's in an open room. But then like you get a room like this, I'm running probably like minus 20, minus 30, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and it makes it a lot easier to edit, and then to get the little like the ambient room noise and all that other stuff. But just investing in the equipment isn't enough either. So you've got to constantly learn, read copy, read a cereal box, read anything. It's just like oh, this is the most delicious box of Pop-Tarts I've ever seen in my life. But you don't want to, because you start sliding into the thirst now, because like it's so yummy.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
It's delectable. Yes.
Like if I was telling, man, have you had the new Pop-Tarts? Oh, dude, they're delicious. It's got the strawberry frosting, the sprinkles, the filling is just amazing. Oh man, the crust around the bread. Oh God, that's what people want to hear, because they want to get talked into it. They don't like sold it. Because if you come at somebody, look, it's only $26. They don't want that, because they feel threatened, and like especially nowadays, because people are so sensitive.
True.
They can't take criticism. They don't want to feel any kind of pressure. So you have to take the pressure off, and that's where the real read came from. Because everybody thought they were getting talked down to because they were stupid. It's not that they're stupid. It's just that's how you used to sell stuff back then. It's how you got people's attention. The used car dealers thing. So
yeah, same with comedy. I feel like there was a time where we were trained to tell jokes and to give people an experience to laugh at. But it's a bit of it's a shift. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a thing.
Right.
The shift now is to be more relatable. Now you're seeing more and more comics being like, growing up in the mean streets of Pennsylvania, like it's this whole thing now. And it's, if you're caught in the middle, because like I'm that age where I should be doing the latter, but my influences are the former. I'm talking Seinfeld, I'm talking Jay Leno. It's like, well, so I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. That makes it sound for me. I'm not just opening up for opening up's sake, because the whole sensibilities have changed. So I totally get it.
Yeah, could you imagine using the material from like the 80s and 90s nowadays?
Oh my God.
I mean, what the response will be, like how many sensitivity groups would there be for this? Or
Larry the Cable Guy wouldn't exist. He would not exist at all.
Exactly. Just kind of like, whoo,
yeah,
man.
That bowling ball. Yeah, I totally know what you mean, man. It's constantly changing. It's hard to put what is hot now as far as what people are wanting and trending. Like even sitcoms. I love the fact of a multicam with a laugh track, because it was like junk food. If you're home alone with no friends, people laughing on TV was great. But one day we decided, oh, we don't want to be told when to laugh. And then all these sitcoms are just people having movies and depressing, but with something that's supposed to be funny happening at the same time. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, and you hear that deafening silence and the crickets. You're like, oh, crap.
Cut to.
Right?
Just random.
So moving on, set change, cameras go.
Yeah, go. I used to work for Fox back in the day. Not the name drop though. But yeah, I was on New Girl. Season 3.
Oh wow!
And the New Girl, when that came out, that was like really the biggest single cam in that generation. There's a whole people that grew up with Zoe Deschanel, but it was just so eerie to be on a set, have people tell jokes, no response, no action, and go, cut. That was good. Let's move on. You're like, where's the humor?
Right.
It's just weird.
Am I supposed to laugh? I mean, was that funny?
You would have felt like and everyone has this. You go to a party and there's that old uncle or old dad that spins those jokes they aren't funny, but you got to be nice. So you're like, ah! That's what it felt like the entire time. Awkward as heck. But it's not about me, because it's not about me talking about my own past job.
No, dude, it's amazing. So you're a DJ, and I mean that's a
mobile DJ. Yep.
All right, mobile DJ. I was a mobile DJ myself back in high school, which was fun. Tom Gavin DJ Delights. I'm sure the guy's dead, so I don't have to worry about any copyright issues. But anyway, he's not going to come back and get me. But so, what's your best DJ story? Because I had a bunch of them because I was a teenager. I was in high school rolling around with
Yeah.
my, PVCS 800 amp, the two 18-inch Scorpions, and then two Technique turntables and a box full of LPs.
Yeah.
I was old school. I didn't have the laptop or anything like this. And, but so, I got a lot of girls' phone numbers because I was 16, 17 years old. And that's the parties he would give me to. And then some college parties, and I would DJ like dinner cruises and all this other stuff. Back in the day when you're spinning the records, come on up here and let me know what you want to listen to because I'm sure going to play it for you. And then
Yeah.
the tip jar's on the right, by the way, that
Wink,
kind of
wink.
stuff. But yeah. So there's a bunch of stories. I'm sure you have a bunch from, your days of doing it. And then I have to hear one for my own personal game because,
Oh
and this is
yeah.
your
Well,
show too. So
it's funny because like the first couple of years that I was a mobile DJ, and for those who don't familiar, mobile DJ means that, like I basically bring everything to the event. I set it up, I play, and I move down. Like how DJs go to a club, I am the club basically.
right.
The first couple of years I was doing SoCal, I had a girlfriend, so I got flirted with all the time. But my stupid faithful ass it was like, no, I have someone at home. But now when I'm single, I nod. But I'm at work. I'm at a wedding.
Right.
But I will say the weirdest story I've ever had, and I love telling a story because it's awkward. This should be in a sitcom. There is a venue called Casa de Cielo, and it's on top of a hilltop in Malibu.
Uh-huh.
And you have to basically get a bus. I drove a bus up this hill because it's like this perilous dirt road. So you're basically stuck there the entire time. And I'm running the toast, and toast is when you say, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, these are people who want to say things. The best man, blah, 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 blah." And the best man at this wedding decided in true Hallmark movie fashion to confess his love to the bride at her reception.
Oh,
you
wow.
chose wrong. It should have been me. Don't you can tell I love you? Fudge,
Oh
and
my God.
it wasn't a movie. So the bride didn't go, "You're right, Brad." She was like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And so it was awkward. And he had to sit there on this hilltop for the next 4 or 5 hours because there was no buses there. So he shot his shot, total airball, did that. And I had to grab the microphone. It was like, "All right, moving on."
Yeah.
It was
And you're like,
awkward.
dude, go sit behind the curtain and have a drink. Go.
Cringe city, man. I didn't know what was he thinking. But yeah, that was the most terrifying time as a DJ for sure.
Oh my Lord. Because it's so funny because everybody that I that DJs has a story like that. Or, the bride's mom got drunk and hit on me, or, like this, like the sister to the bride or whatever. It's something like whenever alcohol is involved in an environment like that, the emotions are high. Everybody's wanting to get obliterated because it's the one time a year that it's acceptable. If that. Besides New Year's Eve, and like even now you can't do anything on New Year's Eve except sit home and watch the ball drop.
Right. That's pretty much what it is.
and then watch everybody at the super spreader events. So it's amazing.
Yeah. By the way, are you going to the new SoFi Stadium in LA? Football season's coming up.
Right. Yeah. Now, who's your team? Is it an LA based team or Houston?
Okay. Yeah. I'm from Brooklyn, so of course. No. When I
that
was
makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I was a Jets fan when I was a kid. Mets and Jets, right? But Vinny Testaverde ruined that team for me. I just hated him. And at the time, when I was in high school, so 2002, 2003, I just picked a team that had no playbook, that was brand new, that no one could say I was a fair weather fan. So I just moved over to Houston, started rooting for them. But when the XFL was around, the second time, I was a New York Guardians fan. For sure.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, being a Baltimore guy, I was a Colts fan growing up, and then in 83 or 84, they just up and left to Indianapolis, like right in the middle of the night. And I was like, oh, man. And then, poor Cincinnati, or no, was it Cincinnati? Cleveland. They lost their team and they came to Baltimore, and now they're the Ravens. But so it's kind of funny that you said Testaverde because I believe he was on the Browns, wasn't he?
I believe
at one
so.
point in time. Yeah,
I shook it from my memory.
Right. Well, I think he was probably around that time where he moved from Cleveland to Baltimore, and then they very quickly traded him off when they found out, he wasn't that great for the team. Yeah. But I've always been a Baltimore everything fan because I grew up there. Even though you can't tell that I'm actually from Baltimore anymore because I've lost my Baltimore accent, which is yeah, right. You've heard the Baltimore accent, right?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything's down there by the water. It's not water. It's not WATER. It's WOODR.
Right, water.
water over there. Everything's over there. There's no hard sounds at it at all.
Yeah.
And everything's get your water out the zinc. I'm like, whatever. I was like,
Right.
oh, and the only time that accent comes out is like if I'm on the phone having a beer with my brother. Because
Right. Me too. Yeah. My New York comes out really hard. This is kind of a sidebar here. I'm not telling that about me again, but I have to do this. I wrote this book this summer. It's called Graduation Day, and I want to do an audiobook version. And I'm from Brooklyn, and so I said I'm looking for someone with a New York accent. And I completely forgot that inside the city there are like totally neighborhood accents. So there's guys from Bay Ridge like, "Hey, yo, bada boom." You know how bait? You're like, I never talk like that.
I mean, like nobody really speaks like that in New York anymore because nobody's really from New York. Like, if you walk down the streets of Manhattan, you go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah,
somebody's
exactly.
What the hell's the matter with you? You okay?
You
having a stroke?
I'm from Michigan, yes.
Right. But because I have my niece actually lives out there in I think she's in the Bronx, I believe. Either Brooklyn or the Bronx, whatever. But
both
she's
coming up.
Is a sweet little girl from Kansas. She's very, very Midwest. But then she got out there and she just, got totally immersed in the culture because she's a photographer and she meets all these artistic types. And now she's got like the short blonde hair and like the frilly, like long flowered dress. I'm like, wow, Maddie, you really have assimilated well to the to the art culture. I mean, I'm so happy for her because she was kind of a shut-in. She was, a homeschool kid, and I think that's really what did it to her. She just went out there and just went
right. Yeah,
I was like, good for you.
That was when it came to LA. I would say this. As a kid from Brooklyn going to Florida in when I was 18, that was the opening up of like the South and what that meant. Because North Florida is very South Georgia, but LA, and I've been here my entire adult life. It's like I would never call myself an Angelino. I just don't feel like we're not on a first name basis here. But yeah, that was really the time I was like, oh, I'm making decisions on my own, and I'm doing my own consequences. This is kind of fun.
Yeah, you mean nobody's gonna bail me out? Crap.
Right. Welcome to the city of broken dreams and palm trees, right?
Exactly.
Yikes. But Dave, I love to hang out with you, man. It was really cool to catch up and see.
Absolutely. We get together and have a drink one of these days.
Yeah, do that. I'll be 6 feet apart if you want. I mean, I totally understand. My mom's a nurse. I get it. But if someone wanted to follow you online, to catch up with your projects, to learn more about what you're working on, how to go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, man, you want to get together or have me back on or whatever, I'd be more than happy to do it. Because I love the show, and it's like you've got some pretty good funny stuff on here too as well. I mean, because I know you do a lot of serious content as well, but it's just kind of like, all right, I can't remember the guy's name now, but I've just got off work, man. My brain is totally fried. I'm so sorry.
I got you.
But yeah, it's a great show, and I wish you continued success, and hopefully we can get together soon and maybe grab that drink.
Yeah, absolutely. But if I want to tell my people to come check you out, to follow you or stalk you, how do I go about doing that?
Stalk me. Okay.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it's at
you smell
Moxley.
Nice.
On Instagram, it's at Moxley Dave. And then you can look me up on Facebook. And then I don't really have a huge social media presence. That's about the two things on there that, come check me out if you want to see pictures of the kids or my kids, our kids, all of our kids. And the fun places I would get to go to. Maybe if you have some questions about the places that I've been, give me a call. Or if you want to hire me for a voice job, definitely give me a call. And we'll discuss the GVAA rates, what they are right now.
Hey, man, gotta get paid. I understand.
Absolutely. No, but I tell you what, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I